My name's Tim and this is my wife Sasha. We live 50 k's east of Normanton in the Gulf of Carpentaria. Live and work on Hayden Station where we adjust cattle here through Luke and Helen Simmons. Yeah, the long-term goal is to eventually go into a cattle enterprise of our own.
Yeah, the First Start loan through QRider really helped us to build our breeder herd numbers. Yeah, it just helped us push through and buy more cattle to ensure more profitability at the end.
We don't have family in the cattle industry, so it's quite difficult. We got to 250 head of breeders, and that's where our sort of resources were starting to dry up with what we could do. When we get to 500 breeders, we're going to have a good amount of weaners every year that we can turn off and be able to have options with, whether we start retaining our heifers, what we would like to do, or we start selling them and buying mature aged heifers to go in the calf. And eventually we'll be pushing up around the 1,000 breeder herd every year.
I found the application process to be quite in-depth, but it was quite straightforward. It allowed us to thoroughly write down what we had and what we could achieve.
When we first discovered it, the interest rates were quite low. Very flexible in repayment terms. If you come across a few hard times or things like that, they're very understanding and willing to work with you. You don't get a very blunt or cold-faced answers about anything.
Without the QRider loan, it would have been quite a long process for us to breed up our numbers and a longer wait to achieve our goals.
My name's Mark Tully and it's my wife Sandra. I'm fourth generation grazier here at Race Station Quilpie. Sheep is our bread and butter. Cattle are extra, but Quilpie particularly is sheep country. Because we've been so drought affected for the last 20 years, when we had a run of good seasons, we noticed that we suddenly weren't getting the lamb, so we knew we had a dog problem. Baiting and trapping is like a band-aid exercise. You know it's very much a temporary solution because sooner or later you're going to have to get another dog out of that same area. By 2014, we thought that we're just going down the tube here. When you're a grazier, you're obsessed with keeping your little creatures alive because that's who makes you the money, and to see them being destroyed by wild dog attacks is pretty debilitating. We've got to build a fence, got to have some kind of barrier to protect our sheep.
If we didn't get the money, we just knew we had to do it ourselves. Regardless, we had to do it, otherwise we were just going out the door basically.
So we inquired about borrowing money from various sources and ended up with QRider, which was very helpful and at very reasonable rates. The whole process, I thought, was quite a seamless one. The fact that it was flexible, that you could choose to pay it off quicker, which is what I like to do, and the fact that also it had a clause in it where you could skip a year if you were caught in dire circumstances financially. We applied in 14. We had the eastern half of the fence built by 15. It was about 100 k's between the three of us that had been put up, which was the eastern side. 16, we got probably another 3/4 done, nearly. We just had to finish it in 17. We've now got the dogs down to a manageable level. The merino enterprise that we've got is now, again, a profitable enterprise. And I've looked at our figures and they are slowly increased since we got our fence built.
We also feel confident about the future.
And knowing where you're going is such a big part of how pleased you are today. So yes, we're very confident about the future. My advice to other landholders would be to go first to QRider. They are offering really favourable terms. Of course, it's an affordable rate, the interest, and you're dealing with people that understand the nature of the industry.
We first applied for the QRider First Start loan in 2017. We purchased Matt's family block, half of it, as part of our succession planning.
In 2019, the place that we bought off my parents was part of the Australian Defence Force acquisition. So we sold that place and bought Moonkin Park as a transition. When we bought it, there was heaps to be done to the place, so we needed some funds to develop it. And that's where the Q-Rider sustainability loan really helped us. Yeah, it was overrun by weeds. Your paddocks were sort of running at 30%, so we've torn and chopped the timber off it, let a bit more grass and grow, and lantana or arborvine was just taking over everything, so we removed it with mechanical means like bobcat with cutter bar on it and bulldozers. The water infrastructure started at the solar pump. We put a whole new main line in, all troughs, we've put tanks in.
We've laid over 26 kilometres worth of pipe, and there's over, what,
30 troughs.
Yeah, 30 troughs.
Yeah, we now have 750,000 litres of water storage. It's an awesome feeling knowing we've got water all the time, everywhere we want it. We can utilise 100% of the place, and you just got that in the back of your mind that you're safe with water, and that's your biggest commodity.
To this day, we still use the cash flow and livestock schedules. That's really helped us keep on track of where our business sits. To have the regional area manager in Rockhampton was really good. John helped us a lot with our application. We went in and met John in the Rockhampton office, and to have that sit down with one-on-one was really good. If we got stuck with any questions, he was only a phone call away.
The hard part of doing the process, once we've done it, the second one was easier. And then we did a third one in the sustainability a third time, and it honestly has taught us how to do like
A business plan,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, definitely give John a call in Rocky or your regional area manager and see whether you're eligible for starters, and if you are, it's definitely worth looking into.
We really appreciate Q-Rider giving us the opportunity with the First Start loan, but also giving us the second opportunity with sustainability loans. We wouldn't be where we are without the Q-Rider loan, so thank you.
My name's Cameron Backus,
I'm Louisa Backus.
and we're from Nardoo, which is 10,200 acres located 32 k's west of Emerald.
The property was originally double the size, so it's 20,000 acres. So there was a subdivision that went in with the succession, and Cameron and I made the purchase of half the properties. My whole life has been in the cattle industry and working with Dad here. So yeah, I was really excited that I could create that lifestyle for my kids. It's been amazing. They've had such an amazing childhood.
We approached Q-Rider about First Start loan, really helped us. Been a massive leg up for us, being able to do that, and Q-Rider really enabled us to do it. When we were doing our finance planning, we were really struggling to make the figures add up until we came across the First Start loan.
This was our first enterprise, our first rural enterprise. We were newlyweds, and I think it was probably the most appropriate one for us at the time. I feel that it's really good peace of mind having that section of our finance with Q-Rider. It feels safe, and it feels like that's something that we don't really have to worry about.
When we were first starting off, it was very, very daunting. Trying to get down on paper what you knew out in the paddock, you then had to turn into figures. The Q-Rider side of things really wasn't that difficult. It was basically just a business plan with all your stock numbers and projections of historical pricings. The benefit to your business far outweighs the difficulty in any paperwork, and by approaching your regional area manager, ours is Brad Whittington, they can help you out, and it's very straightforward.
Brad's been here, he's been to Nardoo, he knows our enterprise, and he's, really contactable. So that's really attractive for us. We want to know that who we're ringing, we've met them before, they've actually seen our enterprise, they know our family. That means a lot. Yeah, we definitely recommend the Q-Rider application process. We've definitely felt supported throughout the beginnings of our rural enterprise when we started 11 years ago.
The eligibility criteria for a first start is someone that's going to move into full-time primary production either in the one hop or in a staged process. And so as the first start application, you can include all farm income in the cash flows to help the serviceability of the loan. I have an office in Emerald, but I make regular trips. So my area is Emerald West. Yeah, I like travelling, I like going out and visiting people on properties because that's where you really get to meet them.
Jason Smith.
I'm Jenny Smith.
We're pecan farmers and do run some beef cattle. I was a bricklayer by trade and we come home to another place 20 years ago and yeah, we run into the 2006 drought and we looked and looked looking for something
to
suitable.
Grow suitable irrigated pasture for cattle, and
we stumbled across this and
here,
at the time it was a fairly good buy and we thought, well, we'd have a go at this industry. It was slightly run down when we bought it.
We took over at the end of April 07. We started harvesting nuts and picking citrus the day after we arrived and knew nothing about anything. So it was a really big learning curve.
We've planted more trees and we kept on growing, so I'm probably a bit biased, but this strip of river loam through here is probably some of the best on the Burnett River. It was our accountant that gave us a bit of a heads up in a direction to go to Curata to get the funding to put our centre pivot in. Our local Curata rep, Cindy from Kingaroy, came and sat at our kitchen table and yeah, we discussed what we'd like to do.
And much easier to talk to somebody face to face.
If I want to talk to someone, I want to talk to them, you know. We've only had the pivot just 12 months, so I'm probably still learning a fair bit yet. We've developed a bit more out beside the pivot where we can water to.
Every 100 days we've got to have another 110 that are ready to go into the feedlot, and this is where we can do that. With this weather, if we didn't have the pivot, we wouldn't be able to have the cattle. We're going to have somewhere to be able to feed them and keep them
going
ahead.
If we were losing money, you wouldn't keep doing it. Yeah.
No. But by borrowing from Curata for the pivot, it allowed us to use our own money to improve other things, you know, whereas if we had to pay for the pivot, well, there's a lot of things in the orchard that probably wouldn't have got done. Been done.
Yeah. Or we wouldn't have put the pivot in. We would have stayed in the orchard. Yeah. Our experience,
all been good.
All been good. So if you're contemplating doing something, it costs you nothing to talk to people. You won't find out unless you do take the issue to them and discuss it. So yeah, no, we're more than happy. Yeah.
We definitely wouldn't be in the position we are now without the sustainability loan. It wouldn't have been possible.
Hi, my name's Nikki and this is John. We live at Greymare just outside of Warwick. We run a stud bull preparation operation here at Avilion and we have 550 bulls here on feed that we're preparing for a September auction. Our setup here was very basic. The bulls barely fit into the crush. It was very much a hobby set of cattle yards. When we moved to the bulls, they just needed more room, a better process, and it needed to be more efficient.
You get to the point where it's either bang or bust. You need to either take the next step because you're verging on the limit of being able to do it properly, and that's the biggest thing.
The sustainability loan covered the water improvements just in our paddocks alone, some further fencing that we needed to do to split up some paddocks, and we had the yard upgrade, the silo upgrade, and then we did some electrical work bringing the pneumatic crush to the yard. We had in our heads it would be a gradual increase once we had the improvements in place, but it kind of went from 360 to 550 straight away.
Kate definitely made it really easy for me. It definitely made it a lot easier having someone you could touch base with and that you'd met face to face. You knew the person instead of just ringing a number that's meant to guide you, and she had an understanding of what we were trying to achieve.
Now we are bigger, we've got employees, we've got to think about that too. To have equipment and setup that is safer, it's better for everyone.
I think a lot of people don't understand that QRider are there to assist you. It's not scary to go through QRider.
The hardest bit is to make that jump. You just got to do the jump. It's pretty easy after that.